This is a sample costume presentation that might help you as you prepare yours. Remember, there is no right approach. My approach is just one way of solving this challenge. I decided to go ahead and create a presentation based on The Cherry Orchard by Anton Chekhov and just walk you through how I made some choices based on the research. So here we go. My metaphor for the show is that Lyubov's life, her heritage and youth, is an abandoned cherry orchard, tangled, overgrown, and unfruitful. Through this presentation, I'll contrast the decadent excess of the family's life with the humble, realistic life of the rest of Russia. I'll focus on Act 2, set in the orchard, and specifically the scene when the tramp attempts to cross the orchard to the train station. It is early summer. For design elements, I wanted to focus on each of these areas and give them specific qualities. So for lines, I'll be looking for serpentine, uneven, or broken lines. Shapes, I'll be contrasting organic shapes with geometric shapes. The form that I'm focusing mostly on is cylinders. And the color will be a neutral color harmony based on the painting Tapestry by Viktor Borisov Mustatov. And the textures will include natural textures contrasted with the frivolous and polished glitz of high society. Here's the painting from which I draw the majority of the color palette. I have added some blues also to this in some of the men. Varia. So let's talk about the character Varia. Varia is caught in the middle class. She's an adopted daughter, but they treat her more like the housekeeper. Lyubov says that Varia dresses like a nun, and Anya accuses her of spying. Lopakin makes reference in this scene to Ophelia. So I wanted to create this sort of look of a nun, and also, but also the housekeeper, but also to show her sort of midland status. So here on the screen, I've got this image of a nun. I liked this asymmetrical closure on this particular dress. The half sleeve was also attractive to me. Some kind of self braid or something else on the bodice was good, and I liked this faux wrap on the skirt that I found in the research. This hair feels right for Varia, very nun-like and also sort of middle class. I included some research here of the understructures in order that would be required to get the shape, and I believe that Varia probably wears a watch. So with those in mind, here are some choices that I made. Oh, a pashmina shawl also because it's getting chilly now in this summer evening. So here are some choices that I put together for Varia. The fabric here shows the sort of the natural tones of the orchard. She is part of that family, but I wanted to cover her head like a nun. She also wears religious jewelry and a watch. This asymmetrical closure again shows sort of the unbalance of society, and also this faux wrap skirt on her dress. I like these half sleeves because they kind of show her as a working woman, right? As if she has her sleeves rolled up, even though that's not the case. Let's move on to the next character, Lyubov. So Lyubov is inspired by the French fashions. She's just come from Paris. She prefers expensive things, and her dress is often impractical. Here are some images that I found from the research. So I've got her in, I found several of these kind of walking suits with these sort of serpentine lines, really helpful to illustrate her walking through her cherry orchard. All of them with these trains and so on are a little bit impractical. Love these shoes with a fabric top and a leather bottom. This all over texture, as if the cherry orchard is part of her or something like that, would be really, really helpful. Here are some more walking suits I really loved and stole a lot from this one here. Again, because of the serpentine lines and elaborate shapes. Excessive jewelry, this lovely Art Nouveau handbag, and her hairstyle, very much inspired in the period. So feathered hats, here's what we have. So here's Lyubov walking in her garden. I used this sort of tapestry-like fabric to give an all-over pattern for her, contrasted with this kind of pale green silk, which will have a little bit of sheen to it. feathers in her hat and ribbons and that fancy, fancy purse. Here's Petya. Petya is a student and a revolutionary. He's really the most likely of these characters that I'm presenting who is likely to adapt. He is called, however, a mangy gentleman on the train, so we want to try to find some ages of him growing, aging awkwardly. I wanted to then shoot for some kind of a cross between a school uniform and folkwear. So here are some examples. Here we have some students at university, and these are students who've been imprisoned. Here they are in jail. I love the boots and the short jacket. These kinds of loose, flowing hairstyles or wilder hairstyles are appropriate, I think. I love the pince-nez here on this. I think this is Tolstoy, and another writer. The asymmetrical closure on this uniform is also reminiscent of folkwear. I love this kind of really full and styled mustache and a full shirt. I thought maybe he would smoke a pipe, but so here we have Petya Trofimov. I went with this kind of green striped fabric for his long shirt, peasant style shirt, this kind of brown raw silk or wool for his trousers, and then his overcoat, a kind of a standard navy blue pea coat, tall leather boots on Trofimov. Next we have Gaev. He's aristocratic. He's a blend of formal and relaxed. Very uptight. I think he's a bit of a dandy, actually. So here's some things that I found that I really liked. I love this straw fedora on this gentleman, and also the spectacles. His mustache and beard are also lovely. A peaked collar, perhaps, but there's that straw fedora again. And this lovely malachite-topped cane is just extravagant and over the top and very fashionable. A contrasting lapel I thought might be interesting with his wool suit. And later on in the scene, his servant Fiers brings him an overcoat. I liked this look here of contrasting coat and trousers, two different fabrics there. Love this felt seam on the outseam. So here's what I've come up with for Gaev. Again, this sort of pinstriped, bright blue pinstripe with a contrasting satin lapel. That's also the lining on the inside. This wool flannel trouser, a lightweight trouser on him with the straw hat. Finally, now we have the biggest contrast, which is the tramp. I wanted to focus my research primarily on traditional folkwear. I wanted to show the unrefined and coarse textures that would contrast most strongly with the members of the family who are much more refined. And of course, dirt and grime embedded in the tramp as he comes to cross the property. That social contrast is really important to this scene. So here's these lapti, as they're called. They're kind of a straw sandal, a straw shoe, and then they have their ankles wrapped. Rather than socks, they're just bound with fabric for warmth and also for protection while they're working. This overcoat and sash I thought was really lovely, and even though it's winter, that he would probably bring all of his things with him. I like the cross wrapping here, the conflict that adds with these straps. Here's a peaked cap that he might wear. It's indicated in the script. And then these coarse fabric textures, this really rough linen or burlap and leather, and the leather in this one also is really nice. I wondered about felt boots or the straw lapti, and decided to go then with the lapti here at the bottom with wrapped ankles, a heavy wool coat, striped sash in fabric, and his knapsack made of distressed leather. That's pretty much my presentation. Again, I wanted to show the contrast of classes in these two. I wanted to put them into a kind of a natural and very neutral color palette inspired by a particular painting, and to show the differences, the nuances in class structure within the family and with the family with everyone else. To do that, I used a limited color palette, broken and serpentine lines, cylindrical forms and flowing shapes, and contrasts of textures.